paper-wise syllabus for the UPSC Civil Services IAS examination. Questions here demand a balance of sociological depth, current examples, and a balanced perspective on how traditional structures interact with modernity. Here is a curated selection of high-yield, solved mains questions that reflect modern exam trends. Question 1. Unity in diversity versus pluralism. Q. Indian society is not just a collection of diverse groups, but a cohesive civilization built on the principle of pluralism. In light of this statement, differentiate between unity in diversity and pluralism with relevant contemporary examples. 150 words, 10 marks. Model answer. India is historically celebrated for its unity in diversity, a concept implying that despite profound differences in language, religion, and ethnicity, there is an underlying structural and emotional thread that binds the nation together, e.g., the historical assimilation of different cultures into a shared civilizational ethos. However, pluralism goes a step further. While unity in diversity seeks a common bond despite differences, pluralism actively recognizes, celebrates, and institutionalizes those differences as essential components of the social fabric, ensuring that minoritarian identities are not swallowed by a homogeneous mainstream. Indian social fabric. Filled down pointing triangle. Filled down pointing triangle. Unity in diversity pluralism. Focus. Common underlying bond. Focus. Active coexistence. Different threads, one cloth. A mosaic of distinct tiles. Example. Shared celebration. Example. Constitutionalism of harvest festivals, nationwide linguistic states, personal laws. Key distinctions and contemporary examples. Structural acceptance. Unity in diversity is visible when people of all faiths participate in festivals like Diwali or Eid. Pluralism is practiced when the state legally protects distinct identity markers, such as maintaining diverse personal laws or Eighth Schedule linguistic protections. The food culture. The widespread popularity of both South Indian dosa and North Indian paneer across India showcases unity in diversity, a shared national palate. Conversely, defending regional dietary choices, e.g., the distinct culinary traditions of the Northeast, represents a commitment to pluralism. Conclusion. While unity in diversity prevents the fragmentation of the nation, pluralism prevents the tyranny of homogeneity. For a vibrant democracy, India requires both. A shared national identity alongside the uncompromised survival of its distinct subcultures. Question 2. The resilience of the joint family. Q. Discuss the impact of globalization and urbanization on the institution of the joint family in India. Is the joint family system completely fading away? 250 words. 15 marks. Model answer. The joint family has traditionally been one of the pillars of Indian society, acting as a socio-economic safety net. The dual forces of globalization, promoting individualism and consumerism, and urbanization, causing spatial constraints and migration, have radically altered its structure. Impact of globalization and urbanization. Structural fragmentation. High real estate costs in urban centers and employment migration, e.g., IT professionals moving to metros, have physically broken large households into nuclear units. Individualism versus collectivism. Exposure to global values emphasizes personal autonomy, career mobility, and privacy, which often friction with traditional collective decision-making. Economic independence. The rise of independent incomes, particularly among women, has shifted internal power dynamics away from the traditional patriarchal head of the joint family. Why the joint family is not fading away. The modification thesis. Sociologists note that the joint family is not disappearing. Rather, it is transforming into nuclear structures with joint dynamics or extended/adaptive families. Functional jointness. Even if physically separated, families remain functionally joint. Major decisions, marriage, property purchase, business initialization, are still taken collectively across generations. The modified joint family in metros. Due to the high cost of childcare and the prevalence of dual-income households in cities, urban nuclear couples increasingly bring paternal or maternal grandparents to live with them, recreating a functional three-generation joint household. Digital integration, micro-networks like family WhatsApp groups, frequent travel during festivals, and financial pooling during medical emergencies maintain emotional and economic jointness across vast physical distances. Conclusion: the Indian joint family is highly resilient. It has successfully negotiated the pressures of modernity by transitioning from a rigid structural residential unit to a flexible, functional emotional network, proving that spatial nuclearity does not equal social isolation in the Indian context. Question 3. Regionalism versus national integration. Q. Regionalism in India is a natural consequence of its immense diversity, but it becomes a threat only when it turns into regional chauvinism. Analyze this statement with reference to economic and cultural factors. 250 words, 15 marks. Model answer. Regionalism is an ideology or political movement where individuals identify strongly with their distinct regional unit, based on language, culture, or geography, rather than the nation as a whole. In a vast subcontinent like India, regional identity is a natural manifestation of geographic and cultural realities. Economic and cultural drivers of regionalism. Factor: manifestation as natural diversity, escalation to regional chauvinism. Economic: